G'day, g'day, how you going? What do you know? Don't strike a light. G'day, g'day, and how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right.
Now we come to the portion of the service before we do our Bible study that we address some end times news and trends that are happening around the world as it relates to Bible prophecy. And I'm sure that you are watching some of the news items and how fast things are happening. The amount of stuff that happened this past week prophetically, it's amazing. Just even in the development with the Middle East, how Israel striked Syria with their chemical weapons plant that they were producing this sort of stuff. So this is going to create a whole nother, it's like throwing a rock into a hornet's nest with Iran and Russia that will eventually be invading into Israel, because that's what the Bible talks about in Ezekiel 38. So we're on the cusp of seeing that taking place. Whether we're here for that or we're out before that time, we don't know, but we know that this is going to happen at some point. So, you know, as we say, that Israel's the timepiece, the centerpiece of Bible prophecy. This is why it's so important to know what's happening in Israel and the region of the Middle East. As Jesus also mentioned to talk about the signs of the times, and he also talked about birth pangs that are happening. In Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13 talks about these birth pangs beginning to happen, that he says to, you know, look up, your redemption draws nigh. These birth pangs are increasing in frequency and intensity, as we saw in the last 2 weeks with the Hurricane Harvey. There was a massive earthquake that happened in Mexico in 8.1, and then now Hurricane Irma is on the way up to the coast where Florida is. And so it's these signs of nature. My sister and her husband live in Florida. They couldn't evacuate. As some of you seen how much traffic is to get out. It's insane. So they have friends in a little higher location than where they're at, because most likely their place will get wiped out. That's just what happens when you live in Florida and the hurricane season happens. Even last week we gave an update on Hurricane Harvey, how it dumped 51 inches of rain, which is about 4'3". So I'm 5'3". So it's, you know, it's about my height. And it's caused about 38 deaths, close to probably $200 billion worth of damages. Probably more eventually will happen, but you're seeing such massive devastation that's happening in these other parts of the country and also throughout the world. But it's these birth pangs, you know. We're going to see more of these things more frequently. The intensity is going to happen around the world. So we're just seeing a small speck within a 2-week window of massive things happening that's going to cause such disruption around the world. Another sign that we're seeing happening on a constant basis is the signs of society, and that's where we see in 2 Timothy chapter 3, where it says, "Know this, the last days, perilous times will come. Men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers without self-control, brooders, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God." And that pretty much describes our daily news that's happening around the world and here in Australia. And but you notice 3 main components: that people will be lovers of self, they'll be lovers of money, and they'll be lovers of pleasure. There is a verse in Galatians chapter 6 that talks about God will not be mocked, and whatever you sow, you will also reap. So the Lord sees the lifestyle that people choose. And in that list, there's going to be destruction that's going to happen. When people live a lifestyle that's not pleasing to God, there's going to be destruction. And we live in a society that's plagued by violence, plagued by drug abuse, plagued by homosexuality, plagued by abortion, blasphemy. The list goes on and on. We see it just more constant, the viciousness that's happening out there. And like in the days of Judges in the Old Testament, people did what was right in their own eyes. And they also call what, good or evil good and good evil. So switching things around. And this is exactly what we're seeing within society. And as you know, the new vote that happened because of the Supreme or the court system here in Australia, that they're now allowing the same-sex vote. to take place, and wasting $122 million of taxpayer money for a stupid vote that doesn't need to take place when they could wait till the next election cycle, but now they're going to waste a lot more time and money for a vote that doesn't need to happen. And now they're starting to have some bit of a retraction because a lot more people are starting to be negative about this whole thing, because now they're coming to their senses. This is not going to be a good thing for the country. And but here we have that vote that needs to take place, and again here it's compulsory for every citizen to vote. And this will open, if it passes, more of the floodgate of immorality, perversion, of incest, pedophilia, because it's love. Love's love. Where do you tell me a definition of love? And you have schools now demanding that their teachers vote yes. Even professors in the universities and TAFE colleges are told to vote yes and telling their students to vote yes. This is what's happening because they're really pushing this agenda in Australia to make it happen. So God will never change his mind. He's very clear about the design for marriage between a man and a woman. The countries that try or that have changed the definition to include same-sex, they're mocking God. That's the bottom line. They're mocking God's design for mankind and how he's created us. It's a sin, just as adultery is a sin, fornication is a sin, stealing is a sin. All sin will be judged. But listen, friends, we need to be praying that much more. It's going to get more intense in these last days. We need to be men and women of prayer, men and women of faith and of the word and of fellowshipping with one another. And there's a spiritual battle happening around us, and we need to keep putting on the full armor of God. And we're going to see a lot more stuff taking place as we get closer and closer to the return of Jesus Christ. Exciting times for us to be living in because we know he's coming soon. He's coming soon. We're on the final stretch before the rapture, and so we got a lot of work to do. A lot of people need to hear the love and grace and mercy of Jesus Christ. So keep your eyes on Jesus and stay in the Word. Amen? And that concludes today's update.